All right, my favorite people, Sterling White here, back at it again with another video. You see the thumbnail on the topic of how I was able to become a millionaire by the age of 27 years old. I want to mention, if you're looking for a get rich quick scheme, go ahead and click off, because that will not be what this video is about. There's a lot of patience and hard work that is involved. But before I go into those points, going to go ahead and get this beard cleaned up. Let's go. And for those of you who are just now coming across me, is born and raised in Indianapolis, Indiana, in the not so good parts of town where you tend to not make it out of that environment. Single mother, fraternal twin brother, welfare, Section 8 housing and government assistance, and that there were times that you didn't know if you would make it out of the next day, to the next day. And there was one instance where I was 5 years old and my fraternal twin brother sitting across from me, and we're eating dinner. It's like ramen noodles and cut up hot dogs. And as soon as we get done eating, we go upstairs and we're playing video games, and a bullet comes right through the back patio where we were sitting. So it was just another day in the life of what people would say living in the hood, and luckily decided to not be another statistic coming from that environment. But another thing that was really pushed up on me just growing up is that in order to actually make something and be something in life is that you had to go to college. So I went through middle school, I went to high school, and then it was time to actually make the decision to go to college. And I was always a little bit uncertain on if it was the right fit for me, but I saw everyone else that was at my high school going to college. So that's when I ended up making the decision, and didn't last very long, but we'll go more into that. All right, so we got a pretty humid day here in Houston. Sun is beaming right down on me, and we're gonna go ahead and get this lined up. I'm a little bit behind, so I wanted to be on time, but we had to shoot some content beforehand. So we'll go ahead and go in here. And I've told you guys I've been growing this beard for, it's about 8 months now. Some people, it only takes them actually a week or 2 weeks to get to this point. But let's go ahead and get into it.
How was that?
Hot? Not too hot though, but it's a good way to get the hair follicles down, so it's a nice cleaner shave. Is that what it is, Jeff? All right, chin up. Appreciate it, Jeff. Have a great one, big dog. Have a good day, bro. You too. All right, so the beard is nice and completed. One thing I want to go into is now my second point. So as I mentioned, you guys, I did the whole college thing. So I went to the University of Indianapolis. This was starting in when I was 18, 19 years old. Went there for a human biology degree. Why I went there for a human biology degree, I have absolutely no clue. I guess at that time I wanted to be a doctor, and just decided I was good in chemistry in high school. That was only because the person next to me was really good in chemistry. So I did the college thing for a couple years. In my final year, my 5th year, being a super senior, it just wasn't working out. It wasn't a good feeling. I had a few more credits to go, but then at that point I started to get into real estate, and that's when everything really started to change for me, you guys. All right, but first, I'm gonna grab a quick smoothie. At this point, you guys, I dropped out. If I hadn't said it already, and by the way, not advising anyone to take this step, and I was in my friend's dad's construction company. I was a laborer, and that's how I was able to get my foot in the door. And then shortly after that, I actually started investing, where I was working for my mentor for completely free And as a way to cover my overhead, I was actually living in my friend's den at that point in time, and had an Amazon business as a way just to keep afloat. And so at that point in time is I wanted to figure out a way to buy my first property, but I didn't have credit, I didn't have any money, and didn't have experience. But one thing is, I found out that if there's a will, there is a way. And I ended up approaching my mentor, and he said that yes, if you find a deal, I will fund it. And I found a property, brought it to him, he funded the purchase price and rehab, and that's how I got my first deal. And I got thrown into the fire, you guys, to figure everything else out. And I would like, have you personally been in a situation yourself where you didn't know all the answers, but you ended up taking action? Go ahead and comment below on that. And that's how I got my foot in the door on my very first property. And then I started a company after that. And then that's when I was able to really scale from that. So stay tuned, I'll give you more on that story, where I started with single families and then ultimately transitioned to bigger deals, being multifamily. So 2013, bought that very first property, no money out of pocket. And then in 2014, formed the company where this is where I was able to really scale my own personal portfolio. And it started with single families. In that first year was a lot of startup and a grind for sure. And as you can see behind me, there's some townhomes that are being built and some single families that are also around here as well. And then scaled to about 150 single families, and then started buying multifamily, as you see right here, that is multi-unit properties. And so it first started with the 46 units, then a 50 unit apartment complex, another 80 unit, bought that, and then another 80 unit after that as well. And I'm going to go into the numbers of how my ownership stake in each of those was able to allow me to have the net worth over $1 million and to become a millionaire at 27 years old. All right, you guys, so now I'm going to go into a breakdown of those. I got my phone out because now I'm going to be actually going into the numbers. So had closer to about 150 single families, you guys, so was right up to that point. The average market value of each of those properties was $50,000, so that's $7.5 million. And then that 46 unit deal, the market value on that property was $1.3 million. The 50 unit, which was Beach Grove Place, was $1.7 million. The 80 unit right after that was $3.7 million, and then also the 80 unit right after that was $2.5 million. So myself is, I had ownership equity in each of those properties, and then at the end of the day, I remember it very vividly that we had to put together a personal financial statement that really goes into all the cash balances and the accounts that you have, your assets, your equity in the company, your equity in all the assets. And after everything was totaled was, I was a millionaire. And one thing just growing up myself is I never thought that that was possible, or even thought of something such as that, just growing up in Section 8 housing, welfare, and food stamps. But that just goes to show you, by putting the work and sacrifice, what is out there for you. So in summary, you guys, is these types of things don't happen overnight. It's really just patience, and then just day in and day out putting in the work. Definitely not a get-rich-quick scheme. And then second is, yeah, you could say being a millionaire is cool, but for myself personally, it was asset rich but cash poor. Because I mean, when starting a company, one of the sacrifices that I had to make, and still making to this day, is that team members and employees actually make more money than me. So those are just the things I really want to share with you. But definitely being a millionaire and even billionaire is definitely something that you want to work towards. But we all have our own successes and what we want to achieve in life. So whatever makes the most sense for you is to go ahead and strive for that. So go ahead, comment below with anything, you guys. Would love to hear from you, and literally comment with anything. I actually personally respond to you and enjoy having conversations with you. So like, subscribe to content. Have a great one. Keep being awesome.